Rolling. All right, Shalom, Maki.
Shalom.
All right, before we get started, I want to give all praises, glory, and honor to
Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai.
Double honors unto the apostles and elders at Great Millstone who rule well and push out this word at a high frequency. I also want to say peace, safety, and much love to the elect, laboring around the four corners of the earth, giving my diligence to make that calling of election sure. And shalom to the sincere sisters. All right, we the brothers here from the GMS Atlanta Church, and we got another quick lesson we want to go into. Basically, you get out what you put in. And we speaking in reference of the truth. You're only going to see, results in this truth according to what you put into it. And Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai has to develop certain characteristics. He has to develop certain parts of knowledge and understanding within you. But the only way that he can develop these things is what? Is by you putting it into your spirit. So if you're always into niggerism and nigger things, all right, and you're not really carrying yourself like a man of the Lord, you're not really looking into history, into politics, into current events, you're not looking into prophecy, you're not reading the wisdom, You may read certain things in Ecclesiastes that you don't understand, but you read it, so it's there. So when that opportunity presents itself to where it needs to be activated, it's there. And the Most High can activate it. But this truth is all about what you put into it. All right? And we can start with that Galatians 6 and 8.
It's Galatians chapter 6, verse 8. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption.
That's right. So if you always, every time you're around a brother, you always talking about women. You don't want to talk about nothing but women. So you sowing to yourself according to the flesh. So you're going to reap according to the flesh. All right? Now these same women that you put your all into, they're going to be the ones that, to be your downfall. All right? Because you get out of this thing what you put into it. And that's in any facet of life. All right? If you work in a production-based work field, where your pay is determined according to the amount of work that you put in. You're only going to get according to what you put in, because that is the actual character of your job, so to speak. It's production based, all right? Just like, people that work in certain fields where you don't get paid hourly, you get paid on commission, you get paid on sales, all right? So if you only sell to 2 people a week, you're gonna get paid according to your production. Now, if you exceed the goal, all right, you'll get paid according to your production, and that's the same thing in this truth, right? So continue, brother.
It says, but he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting.
That's right. So if you sow according to the Spirit, you pray into Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai, you're asking him to give you an increase in spirit. You're asking him to give you an increase in knowledge and wisdom. You want to be a more polished brother. A brother that speaks with etiquette, all right, and decorum. You want to be a brother that's very eloquent, when it comes to breaking down certain aspects of the truth, all right? Now, if you pray to Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai and you work on that, then you're going to start to see that development within yourself. Okay? If you feel like your area of weakness is history, all right, and you can't retain a lot of history and remember it, but you pray to Yahweh Ba'ashem Shai, ask him to make you a more history history informative or informed individual, and then you start diving into history, you'll start seeing it stick. All right, because this truth is based on your production. What you're doing on your day to day. Are you just a Saturday Israelite, or every day of the week are you diving into certain aspects, and things of that nature? And when you start diving into certain aspects of this truth, then you will start seeing development within one's own spirit. You know, is there more to that?
It says, I read verse 9. It says, "And let us not be weary in well doing."
Yeah, and this is the truth. All right. What is the well doing? The good deed. All right. This is what? It's going out to the highways and byways, preaching to the captives liberty. All right. Prophesying to the nations. All right. Trying to turn the elect back to righteousness. All right. That is well doing. Being charitable, doing these videos and linking up with brothers, helping brothers monetarily if they down and out. That is charity. And he says, "Be not weary in it." All right. And that's the same thing in the work field. All right. If you at work, man, it ain't. If you at work, you're not in the bed. You can't be getting tired at work. All right. You gotta activate yourself, man. If you get tired, go get a cup of coffee. All right. And that's the same thing in this faith, man. We don't have any time to get tired. We have to constantly produce. All right. From the time that brothers come into this truth, all the way up until the time of salvation, you gotta produce, and it's gonna show forth when it's time for the rest of the men to come in. All right. And the Most High is going to see if you're worthy enough to have 200 to 300 men up under your leadership. All right? It's all based on your production.
Good. That's right, because if you know that the belt line in them factories don't stop, you know, and that which is in this truth is the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shah. This truth is not going to stop. So either you going to make your production or the belt, the truth going to continue to flow. We're going to pass, the truth going to get passed down generation throughout generation. Okay, so even if you don't make your production and grab what you need to grab out this truth to keep this thing moving, then the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shah just put that spirit on another man and let him do what he need to do. Okay, so you have to continue to make that production.
Right.
And 3 videos a week is your production. Okay, camp is your production. Okay, finish it in due season, reaping the kingdom.
That's right.
You know, it's the production.
And all these different things is going to benefit you. Because if you're doing 3 videos a week, then the scriptures and the things that you actually, pushing out and projecting to the people, you should be taking them in first. You know? And that's why the brother had made that point about when you produce, everything in this truth is input output. Whatever you put your time and your effort into, you're going to reap that. And that's just the algorithm of life. That's the science of life. Just like the brother said, if you into shoes, so to speak, and you take all your time looking at what's going on in the fashion world pertaining to shoes, and you take all your money and you channel it towards shoes, then you're going to have a very large shoe collection. Period.
Yep.
Because that's what you're into. Same thing with anything. So how much more this truth?
Yeah.
And this is our love. This is what the Most High adopted us unto, this marvelous word. So we got to put our energy and drive and channel our spirit throughout these scriptures, man, so that we can reap and receive the fruits of our labor in due season.
Yeah, that's right, man.
If we faint not.
If we faint not.
That's beautiful, man.
Right.
And that goes to show you that this thing requires more than just going to camp once a week. You know, just think about all the greats within whatever platform or arena that they were in, whether it was basketball, football, baseball. All of the greats, the greatest that ever played these particular games, what separated them from the rest? It was their effort. You know, whether it was Michael Jordan. Think about the countless amount of times where, he practiced without the team. Not only did he practice with the team, but think about the amount of times and the hours that he spent practicing by himself, working on his shot, working on his layup, working on his defense, working on his stamina, his endurance. Think about the amount of times that these guys put in watching film, critiquing themselves, all right, watching a video and listening to the coaches, all right, trying to become better within their particular arena, man. And that's the same thing with us, man. It takes more than just, all right, as long as I go to camp every Saturday, then I'm good. Like, no, you're going to dry out. Eventually, you're going to dry out. So it's going to take those late nights of study, those late nights of linking up with brothers, those early mornings of going for a jog and listening to the apostles. You know, it's going to take these things to properly develop because Yahweh Shema Rashad is trying to see how much we want this thing. So it's all based on how you produce, man. You know, and I got something real quick. Was that it on that?
I just finish out the verse. It says, "For in due season we shall reap if we faint not."
That's right. And what are we going to reap? We're going to reap mercy. We're going to reap salvation from Yahweh Shema Rashad if we faint not. So, all right. So this thing, and when you reap, all right, that means what? You're able to pluck up the fruits of your labor. All right. You're able to gather. All right, the increase of what you worked for. That's what it means when you reap something. And I got something for you real quick, bro. This is Hosea 10 and 12. It says, "Sow to yourselves in righteousness, reap in mercy."
And that's where you sowing it. But it's sowing unto yourselves. It said in righteousness. So it first starts with learning the dynamics of this truth. That's why we become so proficient in the law, so to speak. You know, we understand not to eat pork. We understand these different things. Why? Because we read about the law. We know it tells you that in Leviticus, the 11th chapter, Deuteronomy, the 14th chapter, about the dietary law. You know, we actually put and so much time and effort to the point that this truth becomes second nature. And as we complete these different steps, we have to keep walking from step to step and sowing more talents and spiritual skills inside of us, so to speak. You know?
Break up your fallow ground, for it is time to seek the Lord till he come and rain righteousness upon you.
Yeah, see, breaking up the fallow ground, and that ground has to be broken up. Just like before you actually sowing anything in the earth, it has to be very fertile soil, man. And that's why in this truth you have to always be ever learning, man. You can't be stubborn and get to a point where you think that you got it. Whenever you think you got it, that's when you're shutting yourself up from learning. You got to always be fertile-minded, always ready to receive and understand it and take yourself to the next step. Because we're still in the beginning stages, so to speak. We haven't received the kingdom as of yet. We're still progressively learning in this thing and getting groomed and polished to sit on that throne. Just think of the scriptures. Hey, Yahweh Shai, he started his ministry at 30 years old. So what was he doing prior to that? Before his full dedication, so to speak, to the ministry. He was dedicating himself in other facets, man. He was polishing himself in the spirit. The Most High was dealing with him on a level before he actually, really started to take course in the adventure, so to speak. Same thing with a lot of men. They were tent makers, and they actually were going through certain ordeals in their life before they actually took, the position of being in that holy position, so to speak. So even as brothers in the truth, we in this truth, and brothers come in 1 year, 3 years, 2 years, you can't look at yourself as on some elite level. You still have a lot of learning, a lot of input, a lot of formulating, a lot of trimming. Yeah. And that's another thing too. Trimming and cutting out your old ways and reformulating yourself. Because even in this truth, it's kind of like, sewing, so to speak, You got to, tear certain old fabric, so to speak, and sew in the good fabric, so that you can become a pure man in this truth.
That's right.
Keep going.
All right, that was it. But I wanted to make a point within this actual verse. It says, it starts off saying, "Sow to yourselves righteousness." When you sow something, that means what? You plant it. When you sow something, you plant it. All right. Now it ends off the verse saying, "Seek the Lord till He come and rain righteousness upon you." So if you sow an apple seed and the rain comes, what is going to grow according to that apple seed? Apples. So the Lord is going to, because we're sowing righteousness, the Lord is going to rain righteousness upon us. Meaning what? We're going to be able to eat of the fruits of our labor. But it's all according to your labor, what you put into it. if you think that you want to grow and remain in this truth by staying on the same wavelength of thinking, of acting, all right, of indulging, you're not gonna grow, man. All right, you got this truth, and I say it again. This truth is production based. It's based on your production.
Yeah, even with working out, since we on the input, output, and production base, even with working out, you can work out for a number of years and you can be, diesel. But if you stop, your muscles can actually shrink. Excuse me. The density of your muscles can actually reduce. Because if it's not growing, then it's dying. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, because if you start out benching 100 pounds, right, you eventually have to increase and grow from that in order to keep the muscles to keep building. Because if you just stay at that 100, that's it. You gonna stay right there.
That's right. And it takes a lot of exercising, man. Just like even on the exercise base with brothers, you got brothers that's very intimate with the field of exercising. What you gotta do, you do your work on certain parts of your body, your deltoids, so to speak, and brothers know the more scientific terms.
Triceps.
Yeah, the triceps and the biceps and your quad, so to speak. But you have to constantly work on those. And and what happens when you work on your muscles? They actually break down. And what you gotta do, you gotta introduce protein, just like the scriptures say, breaking up that fallow ground, because your muscles become fertile, and then you actually it actually rebuilds itself on a stronger level. So that's the same thing in its truth. You always gotta break yourself down. That's why it says to be humble. Whenever you get to a certain level, you learn, I gotta take this away. I gotta introduce this.
Yeah.
That's where improvement comes.
That's level. That's when you start to basically zone in into your craft, into your work. You start to become more meticulous about how you work. You see, when you first work a job, when you first get on the job, you're just trying to get the job done. You don't really, you haven't really developed the skill set, so to speak. You just want to get the job done. As you continue to work on this job, you develop a skill set and you become more meticulous about how you work. All right, because now you know the tricks of the trade. You know that if I go into this and if I put more into this, then I'll see a heavier increase of productivity if I do these things. So that's what you call development. And because you develop, whenever you perfect a certain area of work, what does the boss do? He promotes you. All right? Because you've grown within your particular field of work. And that's the same thing in this faith, man. That's why the Lord say, just humble yourself, and in due time the Lord will exalt you. All right? And that's when the Most High gives you the increase according to your work. You gotta do.
All right. Sirach 6 and 25. Matter of fact, I started 24. Matter of fact, I started 23. So like it. Give ear, my son, receive my advice, and refuse not my counsel, and put thy feet into her fetters, and thy neck into her chain.
This is talking about wisdom here. It says, put thy feet into her fetters and thy neck and thy chain, and that's symbolic of what? Being a captive unto his work. All right. Whenever you are an employee or you are a laborer, you're basically a servant. You a servant.
All right. That's why even with certain jobs, they give you a specific number.
Yeah.
I forget what the.
You got a employee ID.
Yeah, the EIN.
Yep. Employee identification number.
Yep.
So you were servant unto that particular obligation or job. You now enter into the workforce. All right, and put thy feet into her fetters and thy neck into her chain. Bow down thy shoulders and bear her.
Yeah, and that's talking about what? That's talking about wisdom. Now, whenever you acquire wisdom, you don't just come into the truth and be a sponge and you just soak everything up. No, all right. You gotta soak this stuff up. Then you gotta actually use this. and that's an actual adjective. To use something as an adjective, man. You know, meaning it's an action. It's going to take work. All right. That's why the Lord said He sent what? He sent His servants to the highways and byways to bid them back to the marriage. All right, and that's what we doing, man. We taking this wisdom and this knowledge that we've acquired through the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai, and we're laboring with this very same wisdom. Because if we didn't have this wisdom, we wouldn't even be able to go to the highways and byways. We wouldn't be able to do videos. We wouldn't be able to fellowship with each other. But because we have this wisdom, now we're able to go to the highways and byways and speak this truth. We're able to do these videos a week to, run in camps with equity and judgment, all right, justice, balance, righteousness. We're able to do these things because we've acquired the wisdom. So you can't just get this and sit on it. You got to be a laborer. You got to be a servant to it, like it's telling you here. All right, and this is not what's the word I'm looking for? When you read about wisdom, it's not figurative, or it's not literal, so to speak. You know, it's figurative. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a simile. It actually represents. That's why it says bow down unto her, meaning to humble yourself.
Yep.
And put yourself in a lower state and allow His wisdom to actually cover you. Because as you take on the cloak or the characteristics of wisdom and how to move and maneuver through these different scriptures, it actually builds your character. It starts to become who you are. That's why people, when they read a lot of books, that the books and the different reference points that they involve themselves into, it starts to build their character. People don't read books for entertainment, man. Some people do. You have fiction, of course, and you have different forms of fantasy-based books, but you have more people that's more intellectual or on a higher plane, so to speak. They read books so it can actually formulate their mind, the way that they think, man.
Yeah.
Because like I said, books build character. That's why they say reading is fundamental. Because you take the different aspects of whatever you're reading, and the dynamics, and you install. That's the input output. We read these scriptures because we're installing these scriptures. Mm-hmm. All right. Come unto her. My bad, I started 25 again. Bow down thy shoulder and bear her, and be not grieved with her bonds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, meaning you can't be one of those dudes at work that's complaining all the time. Well, I'm saying I ain't get paid yet. Where my money at? I've been out here doing all this and that, and I ain't seen nothing. Right? No, you gotta wait. You gotta wait for your increase, man. You gotta wait for your payday.
That's why I say if we faint not.
Yeah, because the Most High has a hefty payday for the elect. But it's all about production, baby. It's all about production, and read that part again.
Excuse me. Bow down thy shoulders and bear her, and be not grieved with her bonds.
Right. Y'all always got a problem with, I don't know about this week. I can't do it. Why we gotta link up once a week? I got family and I got this going on. I ain't got no gas. You always got something going on. You know what I'm saying, when it comes to the work. But when it comes to anything else, you got time for it, man. Yahweh Shema Shai ain't dealing with that. And it don't matter how much you know. There's been plenty of guys that knew a whole lot in this truth that didn't want to work. So it ain't about, the simple fact of you just being able to spew out a massive amount of knowledge when it's convenient for you. You know what I'm saying? You got guys that's like that. Yeah. They know a lot. They've been blessed with that gift to know a lot and retain a lot of information, but they only push that information out when it's convenient to them. Because they agree with the bonds of the wisdom. It ain't about that. Right. The Most High the Lord. I've seen guys in the work field, man, that's been on the job for longer than myself, that get laid off because they ain't producing. Mm-hmm. They got to a certain point, they maxed out, and they no longer become a valuable necessity to the company. So they release you. And it's the same thing in this faith, man. You know? Go ahead, brother.
Come unto her with thy whole heart, and keep her ways with all thy power.
Mm-hmm.
Search and seek, and she shall be made known unto thee.
Uh-huh.
And when thou hast got hold of her, let her not go.
That's right. You can't let this thing go. But you also got to remember that when you holding on to Sophia or wisdom, it's a price that you got to pay for her, and that's what your time. You got to give her pretty much a majority of your time. You know, and that's the price that you got to be willing to pay. And you literally become a servant unto her if you have to give her the majority of your time. You know, so it's all about it all goes back to the beginning of what we were saying. It's all about what you put into it. And that goes for me, that goes for these brothers, and that goes for any other brother that's put their hand to the plow. If your hand is on the plow, man, you got to actually move the plow. The plow ain't gonna move by itself.
Right.
You got to move the plow, man.
And that's why you always say, whenever you're working or whatever craft that you're dealing with, it's an extension of you. If you actually plowing, that's an extension of your spirit. Because what are you doing? The tool, like they say, even with the computer, you as smart as the computer, so to speak, because it's an extension of your spirit. Whatever you involve yourself in, it actually shows who you are, man. That's why you can judge a man by how he works. That's why you can judge a man how he deals with certain things. All his different characteristics on his in his life characterizes who he is.
Yeah.
By default.
Yep.
So that's why the brother just said that even when you're dealing with wisdom, you gotta work, man. It shows that you're really serious in your labor, so you're really trying to get this, man.
That's right.
That you're not just a lazy ass that just whatever, man. You know, whether I got it or not.
You ain't got no fire.
Yeah.
You know, and it's gonna be some brothers that's gonna be slower learners, and probably can't retain the same amount of information as other brothers, but they workers. At the drop of a dime, they ready to work. You know, and you will have certain brothers. For instance, we knew a guy that was in our camp, our previous camp head, that knew a whole lot, man. But when it came down to the time to work, he didn't want to work, but knew all of this knowledge and all this immense amount of wisdom and understanding of the scriptures. But when it came time to work, he didn't want to work. But then you will have a brother that can't hold as much information, that can't hold as much knowledge, and you know, doesn't have the same level of understanding as him. He's a workaholic, man. You know, and that's what separates, you know, the elect from the bullshit.
Right.
And you willing to work, man. Because the Most High can give the same increase, you know, as that man. But it's all according to your work, your production. What you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. You know, what you about to say, Rob?
We can go like dealing with the sports. It's the same way. If you got a man he just naturally have that talent, but then you have this other
Michael
man
Vick.
that don't have the talent, but he gonna put in the work. He gonna put in their mental work, study the plays. He gonna know this, know that, and then he will be increased more than that player that just have that natural ability.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he have more natural ability, but he ain't applying himself and putting in the work that this other man that don't have as much natural talent is putting in.
Absolutely.
So he gonna excel higher.
And you know, some individuals, like the brother said, Michael Vick, you can become an asset, but if you get stubborn, you can also become a liability. So that's why in this truth, man, you got to actually watch yourself too. And you got to make sure that even when you studying these scriptures, you always go back to the basics. Humble thyself. Like the scriptures say, if any man knoweth anything, he knoweth nothing else he ought to know. You got to remember these scriptures, man. They ain't just here for you just to read one time. That's why the scriptures say, meditate on these things day and night. This truth is clockwork, man. Always on the clock. That's why when you meditate, it's always pondering.
This is
to the point where it's always cycling. It's kind of like a so-called like a tricycle or something like that. It's constantly circulating in your spirit, and it's coursing through your veins and through your blood. It starts to actually be who you are. That's where the character comes in. You know?
Yep. Is it more to
A
that?
little bit more slow.
Okay, come on. Now you good, bro.
Come unto her with thy whole heart, and keep her ways with all thy power.
Mm-hmm.
Search and seek.
Yeah, see, when you searching for something and you seeking for something, that's an actual action. You have to do that. You know, you can't be lounging around thinking you're searching for something. You know, you have to search and seek for her. Go ahead.
And she shall be made known unto thee. Hey, and you got to get involved in your work. Like even when you watch certain things with criminal investigation, when they be like looking, for certain detectives be looking for certain things, they get into their work, man. They be looking at the minor things in the floor, so to speak. They'll look for certain particles. They'll look at certain sciences and see how certain things correlate, certain things in the walls. They'll ask certain neighbors. They'll link up certain witnesses just to find whatever individual that actually was in the case, so to speak. They actually murdered the individual or whatever have you, but they're actually involved into that work. They actually, just like the brother said earlier, they're meticulous, man, because they're serious about their work.
Yeah, they dig into the fine print of things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what more? And I'm gonna do a lesson on this tomorrow, Lord willing. But I'm gonna go into how we should be acting because we trying to be world leaders here. And the mind frame of a world leader is definitely not a lazy man. He's a workaholic.
That's right.
Actually, he's a designator. He's a trendsetter. All right.
Innovative.
He's innovative. He's very likable, so to speak, to his peers and to his underlings. And what more us brothers when we got the spirit of the Lord with us. So that's another topic for another time. But it all ties into it. It's all about production based, man. All right. And if you produce, let's say, this goes right along with faith, because why would somebody be going above and beyond for a company if they knew the company was going to crash in a year? But if they know that this company has a value, you got job security, all right? You got this company is going to be thriving for the next 30 years. What does that do? You build faith within that company.
Well, that's why people invest in the company.
That's beautiful, brother.
Some people invest sparingly, and they only going to reap what they a percentage. Like if you get into 401k with a company, some people, they put a little bit in. But you got them big spenders, man.
Yeah.
Whatever I'm gonna take a big percentage of my check, and I'm about to put it in the company because I believe in this.
And because they see what? They see the stock is appreciating.
Yeah.
Yep. That's right.
And eventually they become multi-millionaires. They jump on the market, so to speak, and they see how when it shoot up, they shoot up with it.
Yep.
Because they had their faith into that, just like the brother said, the market. How much more this market? The scriptures speak about the marketplace.
Yeah, and because they buy into the company because they're doing what? They watching. All right? They seeing the incline of the company. And that's the same
The
thing.
exponential growth.
The exponential growth. Beautiful, brother. They actually see that this company is actually of value. So what does that cause them to do? They work. They labor. They put into it. They produce. It's about being productive, and that's the same thing in the truth. All right. If you see that this truth is the value of this truth is growing up, what is that gonna make you do? Work.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna see benefit later on because you're investing your spirit into this. You got it, bro.
I was gonna say even too, like with poker too. When you actually, putting all your chips in, because you got the feeling, so to speak, that you finna hit big time, man. You slide all them joints to the table, man.
That's right.
Yeah, cause they like,
you slide them all in.
Yeah, and that's how you gotta be in this truth, man. You can't be no weak spender, man. You gotta be a heavy spender. You gotta put your time and effort. That's why time is something to spend.
That's right.
And you can tell men that don't really spend their time wisely, man. Certain men that are coming in, like the brother just said, some men they develop slower than others, of course. Just everything is step by step. Everything deals in steps, But you shouldn't be in this thing for 8-9 years, and you still just don't know nothing about Genesis. You still don't. You still really not even involved like that. You still don't want to get involved.
Yeah.
You know?
That's the truth.
Con.
Now that is the absolute truth, man.
Con.
You know, there's certain things after a certain amount of time you should know.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you should have you should have invested into knowing certain aspects of the company, man. You know, but you always gonna have those guys. Whatever.
They just want to check.
Yeah, they just they just want to check, but they don't really know the inception of the company.
Con.
You know, they don't know how the amount of work that it took to get the company off the ground. They don't know the amount of work that it takes to keep the company afloat.
Yeah, like if you look at, like on my job, they have certain safety men. Man, they'll break down the company from scratch, man. They'll go into the origins and how
founding
the
fathers.
founding fathers. It started in 1963, and it started from so and so, and they took the investments because they serious about their craft, man.
That's right. I got something real quick.
I got a little bit more slack.
Oh, okay,
I'm
no.
about to go ahead.
No, you did.
Finish it up. All right, come unto her of slacking.
What verse is
Search
that?
27. Search and seek, and she shall be made known unto thee. And when thou hast got hold of her, let her not go. For at the last thou shalt find her rest, and thou shalt be turned to thy joy.
Yeah, that's basically your payday.
That's right, you heard me.
Right. That's your increase.
Just when we thought
You know?
having a
So
break.
that's what we're looking for, man, in this faith, man. We're looking for that increase, man. You know?
50%.
That's what we're looking for, man. We're looking for that rest. All right? We're looking to be, you know, that retirement fund, so to speak, man. You know? Well, that's why the scripture say the Lord is going to give us rest from all our labors. That's when we're able to retire from this work. But as of right now, man, it's all about what you're putting into this company, man.
That's right.
This company is being ran by Yahweh and his son Yahweh Shai.
That's right.
You know? And if you ain't going to really invest into the company that the Lord chose you, to hired you to work for, he'll just fire you and remove you, and he'll replace you. It's easy. That's one of the easiest things for the Lord to do is replace a nigga.
Con.
Because a nigga's of no value anyway.
Right.
God.
You know?
All right.
Is there more?
Yeah. Then shall her fetters be a strong defense for thee, and her chains a robe of glory.
That's right. Go ahead.
For there is a golden ornament upon her, and her bands are purple lace.
That's when your labors pay off.
Yep.
That's when your trials and your tribulations that you went through, that's when they're well worth it. That's when the brothers, your fellow laborers that actually was on the job with you, you know, you can actually kick back with them brothers. That's just like somebody that's in the army that fought, you know, if you was in Vietnam and you had some guys that was in Vietnam with you, and they fought all the way to the end, and now you get to retire and you get to benefit off the rewards of you fighting in that war. You can kick back with that man that was on the battlefield with you and talk about it.
Yeah, you get that badge of honor, man.
Yeah, and that's what Jake like to do. They like to talk about what they did at the end of the day over some wine and some scotch,
Yep.
you know, or some some bourbon or something. You talk about Vietnam because you know what? Now we can sit back and we can basically enjoy the benefits of our labor, and that's what we doing here. And that's why this truth causes all of us to think on a higher level, and not think on a minuscule nigga level.
Right.
You know, we gotta think. We gotta increase. You know, the depths of our understanding of the scriptures, man. Like this truth is not just going to be stagnant and dormant, and it's not dormant now. You know, this truth is alive and kicking, and you gotta prepare. We have to all prepare ourselves. That's just like if you work for a company and your company grows so much that you got to relocate. You got to shut the building down and you got to go and relocate because your company is growing out the roof.
Yeah.
That's the same thing.
You got to hire more employees.
Yeah, you got to hire more employees.
Get more material.
Yep.
You got to get a larger warehouse because you got more materials and you got more employees. You got to set up higher positions and more. You got to put other people in your staff in leadership positions.
Yep. You got new rules and regulations. 3 videos a week.
Yep.
You know, That's what this thing is doing. It's growing, and we see the growth before our eyes. You know, and because growth, whenever you outgrow anything, what do you have to do? You have to adapt. You have to change your settings.
Yep.
All right, because if you live in a house and you and your family outgrow the house, what do you have to do? You have to move into a bigger house to be able to house the family.
Yeah,
That's the same thing in the truth, man.
you gotta shed that old flesh. You know, you can look at like how snakes. You know how they actually, when they grow, they have to actually shed that old flesh because they're actually growing into a larger being, man. And right now, like in the spirit, we're really like in that cocoon stage, so to speak. We're cocooning ourselves and just building ourselves in this hibernation stage, obtaining this wisdom, but it's going to blossom. And we're going to see the beauty of this thing, man. If you look at the evolution stages from like a caterpillar look ugly as hell to some, you know?
Yeah.
Just look like a little worm, you know. It ain't got no type of arousal, so to speak. It doesn't have any type of attributes that can make it significant, but it actually is still in this beginning stage.
Yep.
Then it, webs itself up, so to speak, and cocoons itself for a season until it blossoms. And you see the fragrance, the fragrance, so to speak.
Different schemes of color.
Yeah, the flavor and the flamboyance.
Yep.
A little bit of purple, a little bit of a hint of green,
and
yellow.
Even
dang, that's a beautiful
insect.
Dang, I didn't even know it would even evolve to that point. You know.
And even when you look at like the elegance of how it flies.
Yeah.
It's like it even moves differently now.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, you see all around growth in something that started out so ugly. You know, but I got something real quick. Psalms chapter 1 verse 2. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law doth he meditate day and night.
And that's why we meditate, because this is our delight. All right? And it says his delight is in the law of the Lord. So it starts off with understanding these things, man. And as we increase and constantly read and study, like, dang, that's the reason why the Lord actually made us have to constantly read these scriptures and constantly learn this. All right? Just like we said with the tilling. Here it is, we planting and sowing seeds, but we really don't see how it's gonna be. That's why even in the times of the scriptures, a lot of times in our high holy days, we would have certain holidays in the springtime, so to speak, where it was a time of the increase.
Yeah,
we would pray, for the Lord of the harvest, so to speak, so that He could actually give a good increase of the agriculture, so to speak.
Hey, it's gonna go right into that.
Oh, okay,
that's beautiful. Verse 3, and he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water.
And that's resourceful, man. A tree that's planted by the rivers of water, that's a very strong resource, because you got good purified water that's circulating. It's just the roots is just sucking in that good water, man.
Yeah, man. It's in the soil. You got the water is in the air because the water splashes and those water particles carry out through the air.
Yep.
You know, it says that he shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water that bringeth forth his fruit in his season.
Yeah, see, but it's a season. And it starts from the seed, man. Now, that's not the season for you to eat of that tree. It has to seed, it has to actually, root itself into the earth. It has to actually, sprout and bud, so to speak, to the point where it can grow, and then it can actually, in this time, basically produce that fruit that you can actually consume and be like, dang, this is some good fruit, man. This tree actually produced this fruit. You didn't see it at the beginning stage because it was still working. It was still being fertilized, so to speak, and the water was still generating, so to speak, in it. So it's the same thing in the spirit. You want to say something about it?
No.
I'll be good.
It says, his leaf also shall not wither.
So everything that we do it's not going to fail, man. Even though we're going through these different things where it sucks in this captivity and it's hard on us, but the scriptures say that you can't do nothing against the truth before it. All these things is learning lessons. There's a such thing known as growing pains.
Yeah.
And it's a benefit to suffer. So you have to deal with the equal plane, man, the good and the bad. All these elements are being actually magnified in us to make us stronger beings, man. Just like the brother was going into the military and different things like that, but we were speaking on, even with, military, it's certain good things that come out of losing having certain casualties. It's certain good things that come out of losing certain battles because you learn. You live and learn.
You learn what not to do.
That's right.
It says his
all these things prosper. All right, and that's why you can't look at things. You can't let this world break you down. And if it is breaking you down, it's weakening you. Pray, man, that the Most High can build you up.
And when you pray, you work your way out of it. All right, don't just get dormant. You know, I'm going through this, man. Then next thing you know, you basking in your sorrow. Get your ass up, read some scriptures. You know what I'm saying? Drink you a hot tea, or make you a smoothie. You know what I'm saying? Link up with the brothers. Go to camp. Be fervent in spirit, man.
Okay.
The Most High ain't dealing with no weak shit either.
Right.
Oh man, I feel sorry for that brother, man. Get your ass up and do what you got to do, man. Because if not, man, the train gonna keep going.
That's right.
You know, the train gonna keep going regardless, man.
That's right.
All right. The Most High ain't calling no wimps. That's just like if Japan loses a war, you know, then next thing you know, the leader, we got to just shut down Japan, man. I'm gonna get my country up, man. Because they just, they just beat us. No, nigga. Reestablish yourself. You know what I'm saying? In the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Shai.
Build yourself upon better principles. And that's why you got to change certain strategies even with war. If you lose a war, hey, find it. Look at the chinks in your armor, so to speak. Develop your armor, stimulate your weak points, so that you can actually perfect yourself. You know. Keep going.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. It says, "His leaf also shall not wither, and whatsoever he doeth shall prosper."
See, whatsoever he doeth shall prosper. So the things that we're going through, Akim, don't let it break you down, because all these different things are building blocks, man. You gotta look at everything as a step-by-step base. Even what Job went through, Job caught more hell than all of us, man. How many of us can say that we caught the level of hell that Job did on this side, man?
True.
And all these different things that broke Job down, it was for a reason, to build his faith. That's why scripture say we poor, but we're rich in faith. You got something? Now I'll bring the scripture out. Okay. This is 2 Corinthians 9:6.
Oh yeah, beauty. Yeah, that's a good one.
But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap sparingly. And he which soweth bountifully shall reap bountifully.
Yeah, so if you put in a minuscule level of work, you're gonna get out a minuscule level of work. You ain't gonna see the increase as the next brother. You know, and then what does that lead to? Envying.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Hatred.
Yep.
This man over here putting in all this work, man. He talking all this and he talking all that like he the shit. Well, he's putting in the work for it. You know, he's laboring, he's toiling. All right, he's doing what he got to do. All right.
Yeah.
Now some brothers some brothers see increase in other areas than what other brothers will see. You know, but it's still an increase. You know, and you got to be able to decipher that. You know, everybody's not going to reap the same benefits at one time.
Right.
Some brothers are going to reap this portion, and some brothers are going to reap that portion. But those brothers are all still reaping. All right. Now, if you ain't doing nothing, and you ain't really growing and gaining anything in the spirit, but then you looking at the next man with hatred and malice and envying, all right, because he putting in work, he laboring, he, up at 12 at night doing lessons with brothers and picking brothers up and dropping brothers off, and then go home, do a video and read and pray and, you know what I'm saying, wake up in the morning studying, and you seeing him increase. You have no reason to be jealous or mad at this brother, man. Get like him. Like that song back in the day, brothers might not know, it's called Get Like Me. You know? Yeah, you got like Apostle Hart, man. Apostle Gabar, Apostle Ramla. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I heard probably about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, Apostle Hart said, everybody want to try to be like me and basically mimic me, but y'all don't want to put in the work that I put in. And that was something that stuck out to me. It's like, man, in order to get to that level, you got to put in that level of work, man. Period, point blank, brothers.
Kind.
You know, that's just what you gotta do. All right.
Kind.
So if you don't do it, then just be content with the level that you at.
Yeah.
Kind.
You know, and that's it, man. You know, don't sit up there and be looking at the next brother because he's been putting in all. And I'm gonna hit you with something too. You know, and working ain't just about sucking in information either.
Right.
You know, that ain't working. Just sucking in information. That's just like somebody that's a lead executive at a company that knows everything about the company, but he ain't passing out the information that he's acquired in the company to the underlings.
Kind.
What good is the company? What good are you?
Right.
You just know. Nobody else in the company knows how to carry themselves.
And that's why when certain individuals do that and they die, their company go under.
Yep.
That's right.
Because they didn't even install the gifts that they have and under the, on their underlings, so to speak.
Selfishness.
Yep.
That's why you always have certain people, tutors, so to speak, where you have underlings or you're a mentor, so to speak. That's why even Esau does that. Esau does public speaking,
Yep.
where they speak to the masses of people so that they can actually push out their talents amongst the many. And you have certain people that actually take that talent and flip it and become multimillionaires from listening to multiple sermons, so to speak, and different things of that nature,
And Esau, they pass it on. Most of the time, they passing it on to Esau.
Yeah.
So, and with the truth, we pass. How about Shema Shah pass the truth on to the elect?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He not passing it on to the heathen nation. No,
That's right.
no, he not going. It's to the elect. It's the same way,
Mhm.
Come. All right. I think that's the main point I had. I got this last scripture, unless you had some.
Well, I got one on.
Okay. You can bring
It's
it
so if you don't, if you ain't sowing on this righteous side, then you sowing on the wicked.
Yeah,
Hey,
so
well,
that, and that's
This
but if you think about it, that's really the only thing left.
yeah.
If you ain't sowing in righteousness, you sowing in wickedness. Go ahead, bro.
This is Job 4:8. Even as I have seen, they that plow iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same.
That's clear cut and to the point.
Con.
That's why you have niggas that excel in the rap game because they put that work in before they made it big.
Yep.
So them niggas sold dope, they pimped hoes, they killed niggas, and because they've done so, now they got a big contract with Atlantic Records. And they able to push what they've done on a larger level. That's them actually glorying in what they sold. That when you see so-called people that sell drugs, all right, and you see them living a luxurious life, that's because they're reaping the benefits of their wickedness, man.
Yep.
All right? Well, that's the same thing on righteousness. Whatever you put into this faith, whatever you put into this truth, whatever you put into Yahweh Shema Shai, that is exactly what you're going to get out. All right? You got certain men that they like this brother did a beautiful video the other day. I got to re-upload that about desiring the top spot. You got certain men that desire the top spot, but don't want to put in top spot work.
I don't want to put half in. Put in half the work.
Don't want to put in half the work of the top spot position, but then they will covet the men that are in those positions that put the work in for the position. And it makes absolutely no sense. And being at the top spot, you have to know what's going on. All right, you got to know the history. All right, you got to know prophecy. You got to know how to move. You got to know how to lead. All right, and you got certain men that don't have those qualities but want the top spot, but don't want to put in the work to get to the top spot. Or not even just the top spot. Just to be acknowledged that you know something, and that's not even what it's about. That's not even what this thing is about. Being acknowledged that this brother knows something, man. There's been plenty of men that came into the faith that knew something, man.
Yeah, and innumerable And to be in the faith, you're gonna know something regardless. This is a so-called unit of learning, anyways. We all fall up under the branches of wisdom, you know. But with this wisdom, you actually have to apply it too. So that's why going back to the initial points of this lesson, the input output, because even in the times to come, we're gonna need these different things in these scriptures to provide for us in that day. When you read about the situations that the men of the Lord went through, they had to go through some very, very harsh conditions,
Right.
and they needed every ounce of faith that they was reading and studying and you know practicing in to get them out of those situations.
That's right, brother.
Look at Daniel. Daniel needed that faith, man. He needed all of it. If that faith was probably an inch smaller, so to speak, he would have probably got devoured by the lions.
God.
But through his faith and through his belief, that's what got him saved and delivered. You got some more on that?
No, that was it.
Okay, I just ended with this scripture. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, Sirach 50 and 28. Blessed is he that shall be exercised in these things, and he that layeth them up in his heart shall become wise.
Hey, man. So if you want to grow in the wisdom, all right, if you want to, increase, all right, you got to lay certain things up in your spirit. All right, you got to exercise these things that you lay up in your spirit. You cannot just be a man that just go to work and just clock in, and then when you clock in, you just kicking it. You know, you had the meetings and you ain't listening, you ain't paying attention. Then you hating on people that's developing, that's growing, and you in your spirit you feel like, oh, why he the manager, man?
But this is like spiritual school, man. You got a certain, just like the brother was going into the study guides, and you be having, brothers that's kind of like nerds in this truth, man. That's really studying because they know it's a heavy course that they're going to have to take, and they're going to need that. And you have men that's just class clowns that like to just ass clown their way through school and impress people through jokes and be the cool kid.
Yeah.
And when it's time to really, get to the serious business, they've been bullshitting so long that they don't even know how to pass a test.
Yeah.
They don't even know how to get to the next grade. So they get their black asses kicked out, and they turn into junkies, man. While the ones that was more studious and nerdy, the ones that people look down upon, they start to become multi-billionaires, become Fortune 500 leaders, so to speak.
God, that's right. And that's what that scripture is going into, man. You cannot just come into the truth and just think that because you're a part of Great Millstone, or because you're a part of a particular body, that you're gonna get saved. Like, no. The scriptures say many are called, but few are chosen. You gotta know what certain words mean. You gotta know what the name of the Lord means. You gotta know what the name of the only begotten Son is. Know what your brother's names is. Know the forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Know about Noah, all right? Jonah, Ezra, Yahushua, Habakkuk, King David, King Solomon. You have to go into these things, man. You got to check these things out. All right? Go into the wisdom of Ecclesiastes, Proverbs, Ecclesiastes. Go into these things. Go into the prophecies of Isaiah, Jeremiah, John. Go into the epistles. That Paul. You have to go into these things, man, in order to increase. Now, some brothers may have different study methods than other brothers. All right, but just go into it, man. Go into it sincerely, and let Yahweh Shema Shai increase your labor. All right. And real quick, I'm gonna call for one more scripture. All right, kind of finish that.
All right, verse 29. For if he do them, he shall be strong to all things. For the light of the Lord leadeth him, who giveth wisdom to the godly. Blessed be the Lord forever.
Yeah.
Amen.
Hey, see, so the Lord, it'll be the Lord that increases you, that gives you that birth, so to speak. All right. Now, when you look at Apostle Rukar, for instance, you can tell Apostle Rukar put a lot of work into this truth. That's why Yahweh Shema Shai still has him around.
Okay.
But in return, he's not the deepest apostle,
Okay.
you know. But you could tell what that he put work in, and he's sincere, he's fervent, he's on fire. All right, because why? Because he put the work in. The Lord is actually drawing it out of his spirit, and you're actually able to see it.
Okay.
You know. Now it's the same thing with us brothers. You're gonna have certain brothers that's very eloquent, all right, that can retain a lot of knowledge and information. They're very laborious when it comes to it, and they put in a heavy amount of work. Now you're gonna have certain brothers that may not be as eloquent, that may not be as soft-spoken, or be able to iterate their certain points, but their spirit is on fire because behind the scenes they putting in the work. All right, so it's diversities of gifts. But you always got to remember that it's Yahweh Shema Shai that gives the increase according to that man's spirit.
Okay.
You cannot question another man's work if you didn't create him.
Right.
All right? If you see this man producing in the spirit and whatever his you know, the spirit is allowing, if you see him increasing in that area, you got to let that be. You can't be like, oh, he don't know how to say this and all. That's you that know how to do that. All right? But this man, his gift may be a helper. His gift may be this, but he's working on his gift.
And that's why Scripture says that in Romans, he that is weak receive you, not to any evil disputation.
That's right.
And everybody in the military doesn't have the same strength, man. You got archers, you got men that's masters with the sword.
Now this is a whole nother lesson.
Yeah, that's a whole nother. There's gonna be a B-side, you know.
Yeah, just like it got to be a B-side, because just like when you looking up 1 Corinthians the 12th chapter, it says those that are feeble according to the body are necessary. Mm-hmm. All right, so you're gonna have certain men that don't talk much, but behind the scenes they putting in all kind of work, and it's for Yahweh Shema Shai's purpose.
Scripture speak about apostles and governments, man. Certain men that just deals with the more heavier matters, so to speak, of the management. You got, like the brother said, helps. All these different things factor in.
Yeah.
Now they all don't function the same way, man. The ear does not function like the heart.
God.
The brain doesn't function like the stomach.
Mm-hmm. Let alone they still function.
Yeah, nonetheless.
Now you're going to be able to tell if the ear, you can't hear.
God.
You know what I'm saying? Now that goes into a man that's not useful.
Yeah.
You know, he's not useful to the body. You know, I'm gonna get one scripture real quick. What was that, brother?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, get 1 Corinthians 3 and 7. You can get it, Rob. 1 Corinthians 3 and 7. We'll close on that. All right, because the you know, in this faith, man, as you develop, you have to understand how this thing pans out. All right, that's the important stuff. I cannot look at this brother and expect him to live up to the requirements of another brother, or I cannot expect a younger brother to live up to the requirements of this brother that's been polishing his spirit for 7 to 8 years. You know, as long as that brother is producing at his level, then that's that. He's working. He's laboring. All right. You can't be like, yeah, well, he don't know this. How don't he know? That ain't up to you. That's up to Yahweh Shema Shai. As long as this man is producing in the spirit, he's moving in the right spirit, he has to stay intact.
That's right.
All right. Go ahead, brother.
1 Corinthians 3 and 7. So then neither is he that planteth anything, neither he that watereth.
Go up to 6.
Verse 6. I have planted.
Go to 5, Salah.
Verse 5. Who then is Paul?
Uh-huh.
And who is Apollos?
Uh-huh.
But ministers by whom ye believe.
That's right. All right. So the Lord said, Paul planted, Apollos watered, but who then are they? But ministers, meaning what? Servants. All right. Of who? Yahweh Shema Shai. Go ahead.
Even as the Lord power gave to every man, I have planted. Apollos water, but the Most High gave it the increase.
That's right. So they say they planted, Apollos water, but the Most High give the increase. Now you're going to plant different seeds in the spirit. All right, and certain seeds develop differently.
Yeah.
They develop according to how the Most High created that seed to develop.
And that's
All
even
right.
in the law. You can't even plant different types of seeds in the same
Right.
You
area.
can't lay them in the same area.
You can't mingle seed.
Okay.
Hey, I'm gonna hit you with something. Certain fruits, they take a long time to produce because when they grow, they heavier.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Certain fruits are lighter. Certain fruits are wider. Certain fruits, it take a longer time to develop a color, that color.
Mm-hmm.
But they still develop according to the time.
Right.
All right? And that's up to Yahweh Shema Shai.
And that's why you gotta have faith as a mustard seed, because that's the main seed that gotta be planted in your heart.
That's right.
Is that the seed of faith,
That's right.
believing in yourself, man.
Mm-hmm.
You can't let nobody, Esau been taking years and years, so to speak, decades and centuries to hide this gift from us. We got it back, man. We got to cultivate that gift in us. We got to take these scriptures and believe in the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai that rests within us.
Yeah, and don't let no brother take your spirit away from you.
Okay.
We didn't
Don't
let
nobody
Yahweh
take your crown.
We ain't let Yaradan take our spirit away from us.
Okay.
You know, we endured. You know, we endured through all that. We ain't let him snatch our spirit away from us, man. Because Yahweh Shema Shai was the one that was in control. Now you had certain guys that did let Yaradan take their spirits away, catch them away, man. And we know who you are. All right. But see, this is the program of the Lord, man. And that's why it's important to be a laborer's worker, man. Let's finish that out, bro.
Okay. Verse 7. So then neither is he that planted anything, neither he that watereth, but the Most High that giveth the increase. Now he that planted and he that watereth are one.
Yeah, go ahead.
And every man shall receive his own reward according to his own labor.
There go the point right there. You know, every man is going to receive according to his labor. Certain men, they have different styles of work. Period. All right? How this brother works, and how I work, maybe 3 totally different styles of work. But we all still working to get the job done.
Right.
And that's what you gotta look at. Now, just because somebody ain't working like you would work does not mean that man is off.
Right.
All right? You gotta learn to work with him. All right? As long as you see this man producing, as long as you see this man growing and increasing, let him work how he work, man. As long as it's good, clean work in the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai, let that man work how he work. You know, long as he's meeting status quo and he's doing what the managers tell him to do, let him work how he work, man. Because that's actually Yahweh Shema Shai, you know, and the diversities of gifts.
That's right.
You know, so I mean, you know, that was pretty much all we had through the spirit. You know, hopefully you brothers was edified through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shema Shai. You know, and brothers, we close, man. We close. So it's time to trim them lamps and put that work in, man. And Lord willing, find the rest of our brothers and sisters so we can get the hell out of Babylon. That means we gotta work. We gotta put in to get out, man. All right. So we're gonna close out by giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. All right. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and safety to the elect. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.